I know you're looking at your watch. It's not 7. It's 5 after 7. I'm borrowing 5 minutes. Okay, anyway, let's get this thing underway. I'm Lee Fessler. I guess last time we started the meeting with no one knowing who I was. I didn't think it was important who I was, but I am Lee Fessler. I am currently the president of the Williamsport Tea Party. I did not run for that position. It was, I got hit in the head with it, what happened. But anyway, the Tea Party is doing some things that I'm very proud of. I'm glad that you're all here tonight. I'm glad that we are starting to get some more attendance. Tonight's attendance is a little weaker than last month, but we are moving in the right direction. We're going to try to keep boosting the attendance here because there's power in numbers, and there's not power in anything but numbers. So don't forget that. Every time that you think there's something that's a little more important to do on the night of a Tea Party meeting or the night of a meeting where you might be able to make some good constructive noise and get something done, you're dead wrong. And I have a great example of that here in just a few moments. But first, if you would, I'd like you to stand and join me in the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now, we have tonight, we do have the Pennsylvania flag with us tonight. Last month we promised that we had them because we are, as a Tea Party, we have, from the very beginning, we've kind of set our sights on federal issues. And I was maybe the problem child with that. I thought that that was the place to start. Start at the top, take down the big bird, and work your way down. But I've learned the hard way that sometimes, if you're, I guess you're going to burn down the house, you start in the basement. Yeah. So we're not necessarily here to burn down the house, but we're going to take some corrective action. So we decided, let's start a little bit lower and work our way up. So we are celebrating Pennsylvania the last couple of months, and we're going to continue celebrating Pennsylvania, especially with respect to House Bill 357. Here's why it is so important that you're here tonight. And here's why it is never more important to stay home and watch Hogan's Heroes than it is to come out to a Tea Party meeting. Last month, when we had our meeting, our state representative, Rick Marabito, was opposed to House Bill 357. After that meeting, he got enough phone calls and read enough in the newspaper about the Williamsport Tea Party's direction and enthusiasm that he has signed on to House Bill 357. So your attendance and your noise made that difference. So, for all of you, but they're also for Mr. Marabito. We have to respect that. He personally is not necessarily for House Bill 357, but he saw that the people out there who he represents are for it, so he signed on to it. That's what a representative is supposed to do. Use his head and represent us. So, like him or not, like his colors or not, he did the right thing there, and he is in support of House Bill 357 now. That's a tremendous thing. So, and again, it was just the noise that we were able to make. And how about that picture in the Sun Gazette that they gave us? Yeah. How about, isn't that awesome? Now, I just love the way, hey, I got to hand it to him. Is there a Sun Gazette guy here tonight before I get myself in trouble? You did got to give them credit, man. They were there. They wrote a great, very positive article about the Tea Party and about House Bill 357. Everything was great. But how about that picture, man? They just had to get down real low and get a picture of that guy's gun in front of the podium, didn't they? You know, they had to make a point of the payload gun on the guy's head, which is fine for us. We're all for it. But I don't think that was the positive slant. I think that was the one little piece where they wanted to show the redneck in us. Well, okay, so we're rednecks. You know? Some of you have camouflage showing tonight. I like it. All right, so a little redneck never hurt anybody. So tonight, we are still celebrating House Bill 357 in the state of Pennsylvania, and we are going to have some door prizes tonight. Now, I guess it can be good if there's not a big crowd, because if there's not a big crowd, there's more of a chance you're going to win the door prize. And some of our door prizes tonight are pretty awesome. And what we're going to do is, at the end of the evening, we're going to pull tickets out of a hat or a beer pitcher or something. You all got a ticket when you come in? Anybody did not get a ticket? Okay, good. Yeah, as long as you all got a ticket, you're all in the running. And we're going to give away some pretty neat prizes. We're going to give away a couple of flags. Don't tread on me. We're going to give away Pennsylvania flags. A couple of Tea Party t-shirts. We're giving away an NRA membership. And we're giving away a 1-ounce silver coin. Yeah, I like it. And I like the silver coin idea. Now here's how it's going to go. As we pick these out in descending order, the first person picked gets to choose which of the prizes they like. So if you already have an NRA membership, you may take the silver coin. If you already have a silver coin, you may take another silver coin. Who knows? But the first one picked gets their first choice, and right on down the ladder we go. So I'll put these off to the side. There are t-shirts back there, all kinds of things back there. I'm going to encourage you, some of you are going to win these things tonight. Those of you who don't win, I'm going to encourage you to go ahead and make a donation to the Tea Party and grab a t-shirt, a flag, whatever else on the way out. Because again, these the donations they go to support our efforts only. There's again no reimbursement, no compensation to anybody on the Tea Party. Every penny goes right directly back into the Tea Party to try to support our efforts and our missions to pay for rooms and prizes and things that we do to try to make our meetings a little more exciting. Our next meeting coming up, May 1st. We stacked these meetings. Last month's meeting and this one pretty stacked pretty closely. I'm sure that's what affected our crowd a little bit. But we have all the way till May 1st for the next one, and we will be talking a little more, I believe, about the 10th Amendment, and we'll be talking very much more specifically about the right to work. Now, we have a couple of guys coming. State Representative Stephen Bloom will be here, and Matthew Wagner, the Pennsylvanians for Right to Work. They will be here to talk to us about, what do you think they're going to talk to us about? Right to work. Right to work. Right to work. And they're going to tie that into the 10th Amendment for us, and we're going to continue with the 10th and the 2nd Amendments. Those are powerful topics, and we're going to stick with those until we make sure that we get some things finalized. And again, getting a representative to change his thought and his plan and supporting a bill that we're for is very important. So let's stay on the issue. And let's make phone calls, because we learned from last month that they don't, at least one of them does not ignore the phone calls. So let's keep on making the phone calls. When we make the phone calls, let's do this stuff. Let's be the most assertive, aggressive, polite, professional bunch out there. When we're calling the representatives and saying that we were at a Tea Party meeting, let's make sure that they know that we mean what we say, and we aren't backing down, but that we aren't just flapping our jaws and making a threat, and we aren't being a nasty guy, that we're in this for all the right reasons. So put on the best demeanor you've got, and call your representative after every meeting. Let him know what you learned at the meeting, let him know what you want him to do about it, and invite them to come on out. Next month, we also should have our county sheriff here, Mark Lusk, should be back. He's up against re-election coming up here very soon. In fact, in May, there's only one county seat up for re-election, and that is the sheriff. So he should be here then, hopefully. So it'll be a very important meeting, Monday the 1st, and watch on our website and our Facebook for locations. Chances are it's going to be right back here, because we're going to have a nice big crowd again. I'm going to pass around the yellow notepad, and I want you to, if you did not sign up at last month's meeting, I want you to consider signing up here again. Signing up, you don't really sign up for much here. You're signing up to get on our email list so that we can keep you very up to speed on any changes about our meeting schedule or location, keep you very current on what's going on. We're not going to spam and send out a bunch of stuff. We're not going to use your email for anything at all except to update you on what's happening with the Tea Party. Additionally, though, we'd ask you, if you are up for it, to go ahead and put your cell phone number on here for our text blast, as we talked about last month. Our text blast, I'm guessing it will tie into tonight's meeting. But our text blast is our county sheriff was kind of concerned about what can a county sheriff really do if the feds come in and try to do something about you having a couple of those very, very nasty military-style assault weapons. What if they came to take your weapons away? What could you do, or what could the sheriff do? Because we've asked the sheriff to stand in our defense and not allow it to happen. And Mr. Lott is a little concerned about what could he do? How can he really stand up to them? Well, the county sheriff, and I think we'll learn a little more about this tonight probably, has the ability to, I guess, deputize you, and or organize you, and or encourage you to stand right there beside him in defiance of that's against the Constitution, anything that's against the Pennsylvania Constitution, which we have here tonight on the front table. You might want to grab some of these as well. But we want to have a cell phone blast registry so that in the event, and this is never going to happen in our lifetime, but if it does, if they show up, if someone shows up and wants to take your Second Amendment rights away, we would like to be able to, with the touch of a keystroke on the computer, send a text message to all the rednecks in the Tea Party, and have a whole lot of people riding over the hill. Have a nice crowd to stand in defense of the Second Amendment. So if you would like to be there in the event that that happens, put your cell phone number down here tonight, and you will be on the list. And if that should happen in Lake County or surrounding county, you will be on the list to be notified when and where it's happening. So I'm on the list in big red letters because I like being on lists. And I've been told I'm on several lists, not just this one, but I'm on a couple of others as well. So sign up, you'll be glad you did. Now, I am the worst at names because last month I forgot to tell you who I was. So our police chief, Mark Kessler, Chief Kessler, okay? He's got some really interesting things going on. And Larry, would you stand where you're at, Larry? And Larry's going to give us a brief update on Mark Kessler and what's happening.
Yeah, some of you may or may not know, but Chief Kessler started a CSF, Constitutional Security Force. And just like the Tea Party here is putting forth real solutions to what's going on, so is Chief Kessler. And he's starting a Constitutional Security Force. The first meeting is Saturday from 3 to 6 down in Friendship Fire Company in Frackville. So you can go on his website, chiefkessler.com, and get more information about his inaugural meeting. And like I said, he can be offering real solutions to the concerns that we have as we face more and more federal tyranny. The other thing, there's some breaking news also. Mark was on RBN Network last week. He was on John Stannemeyer's show, Intel Report or something it's called. And on that show, John was so impressed with Mark that he offered him his own show on the RBN Network. And starting next week, Mark's going to make an announcement, put it on his Facebook page, put it on his website, that he's going to have his own weekly show. And so that's something to look forward to. And also, I want to plug our own Tom Anderson here. He was on Smith Fix Blog Talk Radio this past Saturday, giving solutions to alternative energy and whatnot. I didn't get to listen to the show, but I understand it was well received. And you're going to be on like in 2 weeks. So smithfix.com, you can go on that smithfix.com and get more information about their radio show that's on every Saturday night from 8 to 11 p.m. Our time, because he's had a lot of guests on that we know, including Dan Johnson from Pandas was on there 2 weeks ago. Stuart Rhodes was on a couple of weeks ago. Mark's been on a number of times on the radio show, so I invite you to check that out as well. Smithfix.com, and you can find out more about the radio show. So, in fact, this week Mark's going to be on and kind of do a follow-up on his CSF meeting. He's going to be on all 3 hours. Dan Johnson's going to come on in the 2nd hour, and I believe John Stannemeyer is going to be calling in, and also the U.S. Army captain that retired and went public here a couple of weeks ago, warning people about the DHS. I think his name is Captain Terry Hesterlow, is it? Yeah, Captain Terry Hesterlow. He went public. He was on InfoWars, and he went public about all this ammo buy and how it's going to be used against us and whatnot. He's supposed to be calling into the show as well. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, County Sheriff's Brigade. That just sounds exciting, doesn't it? Yeah, that doesn't sound like the Needlepoint Club. It like if something happens, this is going to be, I shouldn't say fun, it's going to be exciting, right? The County Sheriff's Brigade is that's the kind of thing that makes you want to stand up, puff up, and join. And tonight, we're fortunate to have with us the founder of the County Sheriff's Brigade. This gentleman is a U.S. Air Force veteran. He's a researcher. He's a constitutional scholar, very specifically the Pennsylvania Constitution, if I'm correct. Is that right? Okay, both U.S. and Pennsylvania Constitution. And he is the president of one of only two state federations of sheriff's brigades. So tonight we're going to learn a little bit more about the yellow sheet, a little bit more about what you're signing up for. And I want you to sit back and listen, take some notes, listen to what's going on, and then he's got a phenomenal array of information here that's going to take you a little further than we can go tonight. So listen up to what he's got to say, and take advantage of his literature, and be ready with questions. What we're going to do is, after he speaks, we're going to stop, take a brief break, we're going to pull out some numbers to see who wins the prizes, and then he's going to do Q&A. So you'll have plenty of time to ask some questions. If we're lucky, our sheriff will be here to maybe join in for the last few minutes. And I'm getting hints from the back of the room about how to pronounce his name right. Okay, they're playing charades with me in the back of the room. So I'm going to do this very, very, very carefully. I'd like you to give a rousing applause to our speaker for tonight, the head of the Sheriff's Brigade, William Taylor Reil.
Make that work. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. I think I'd like to start where Lee just left off, and that is talk a little bit about the County Sheriff Brigades of Pennsylvania and the County Sheriff Brigades as a backdrop to before we start talking about the Constitution. In 2009, I had the privilege of being a delegate to the Continental Conference. How many of you know about that effort? It was 11 days. We worked about 20 hours a day. I never worked harder for less and enjoyed it more. But that group of 110 delegates from all over the country was quite an inspiration. I happen to have the privilege to be the chairman of the subcommittee for the Civil Action Plan, and I wrote an introduction to our Civil Action Plan. And it didn't get accepted, but on the way back, I decided that we would do it here in Pennsylvania. And that gave birth to the brigade concept. Actually, at that time, it was called the Sheriff Project. And Sheriff Richard Mack, how do you know of Sheriff Richard Mack? Well, we have a lot of learning to do then. Sheriff Richard Mack has been involved in trying to straighten out the government from the police officer standpoint, if you will, for many, many years. He took a case to the Supreme Court when the federal government passed the Brigade bill in 1994. And when the federal agents came to Arizona and asked the sheriffs in Arizona to collect information on gun owners and give it to them at no reimbursement from the federal government, he objected and ended up suing them. That case went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court agreed with Sheriff Mack. It was a 10th Amendment case. It's an excellent case. And there's a summary up here, which I recommend that you get and read it. I'll make reference to it a bit. Called Victory for State Sovereignty. It's a little short pamphlet, and it summarizes his case. I think it's extremely well done and very informative. But I had known Sheriff Mack for a number of years, and he asked me to be the state coordinator for the Sheriff's Project, and I did. And then when that went away, because the lady in Texas didn't want to go along with things that Sheriff Mack was doing, he started another organization, and that organization now is the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association. How many of you heard about that? Got some website folks. I would encourage you to get on that website and learn more about what he's doing.
transition the sheriff project into something that we could do here, a lady out in Butler County named Donna Fike suggested, and in fact started, Butler County Sheriff Brigade. I think I was the second one to sign on. And I called her and said, hey, that's a great idea. Why don't we look all across the state and we help them set up websites and those kind of things. And she said, sure, her husband would be glad to do that. And so we've changed the sheriff project into the Sheriff Brigade. Now, many of you know that each county is supposed to have a sheriff, and the sheriff's jurisdiction is the county. The borders of the county no farther. And there have been sheriffs in Pennsylvania since before there was Pennsylvania. And so, building on that concept, the sheriff brigades only extend to the borders of the county. And sheriff brigades are not associated with the office, they're not part of the sheriff's office, but they are concerned citizens who want to organize a network and learn the law and stand together to help the sheriff do his or her job, and frankly help other citizens to understand the responsibility and duties of the sheriff, so that we can get our government back where we're supposed to have it. Now that won't solve all the problems, but it'll help. Excuse me. Now, the sheriff is the chief executive officer in the county. Everybody know that? He has been the chief executive officer in the county since before Pennsylvania was Pennsylvania, because there were counties here, weren't there? William Penn founded this commonwealth, if you will, as his land grant from the king in 1682. He came, and actually Delaware was part of Pennsylvania initially, and when he sailed up and made his home in Bucks County, they split off Delaware, and Pennsylvania became pretty much what it is today. Little changes in boundaries, but not much. At any rate, there were sheriffs here in Pennsylvania at that time. There were also constables. And those are the two peace officers elected in Pennsylvania and pretty much every other state, where they haven't been taken away. You may know that Connecticut no longer has sheriffs. They have 6 counties, they no longer have sheriffs. In Delaware, they're in the process of eliminating sheriffs. They have a case going, you know about Jeff Christopher. He's the sheriff in Sussex County in Delaware. And the Attorney General and the legislature said that he no longer has arrest powers or investigative powers, even though it's in their constitution. So we have some serious, serious problems. I can tell you that they've been working in this state to eliminate sheriffs for many, many years. So we're trying to say, the people better wake up. I think all of you in this room know we have some serious problems, right? We have a lot of problems for a lot of reasons. But if we're going to solve them, we're going to have to get the government to follow the law. And they're not. Now, I've spent almost 23 years now studying constitutional law here in Pennsylvania. I am not an attorney, and that's an advantage, frankly, because attorneys don't learn the law anymore. They learn cases and procedures, and very rarely do they read the Constitution, state or federal, and if they do, they use cases to justify what their positions are, and many times they're not correct. And so, our task, I think, is to learn ourselves. It's in plain English. You can learn it. How many of you have read the state constitution? You really need to do that. Now, it's a shame that the state constitution was taken out of our schools, I think in Chester County, where I made my home. It was done in 1976. Now, if the young people don't learn it, and we don't know it, then how in the world are we going to make sure that those in government do their job? I don't understand that. I also don't understand why they take an oath of office without reading it, but I can tell you that through the years, probably 21 years I've been doing this, I'll go up and say, have you read the state constitution? Usually in a public forum, and I'd encourage you to do the same thing. Get a bunch of copies, take them with you to the school boards and the county commissioners and, frankly, the sheriff, anybody who's in government, state representative. and ask them that question. My experience has been that over 90, almost 95% of times, other people I ask say no. Now they may be concerned because I usually preface by saying I've been studying constitutional law for how many years it's been, now it would be 23. And they may be concerned about the second question if they say yes. So that would be good if you learn enough about the Constitution so you can be in the same position. And if you're going to focus on anything, the Declaration of Rights in the Pennsylvania Constitution is excellent. It's right at the beginning. It's Article 1. Wasn't always there, but it is now and has been since 1874, I believe. But the point being is, 7 pages. I had a township supervisor who had spent a total of 23 years in township government, either on the zoning board or as a supervisor. He had just finished a 6-year term as a supervisor. And I asked him if he read it, he said no. And I said, well, why not? He said, I didn't have time. Now that is the most feeble excuse, isn't it? Because you understand that before anybody goes in and takes a position in the government in Pennsylvania, they have to take an oath of office. It's found in Article 6, Section 3. And that oath says, I, whoever it is, do solemnly swear or affirm to support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this Commonwealth, and to discharge the duties of my office with fidelity. Now you notice it doesn't have anything about statutes or rules or regulations or court decisions. The constitutions of what they're supposed to support, obey, and defend. So I would say to you, how in the world can someone take that oath if they haven't read the Constitution and they don't understand it? Why? Because attorneys tell them don't worry about it. And attorneys don't have to worry about it because they're told not to worry about it. And there may be some reason for that, and I don't think I can cover all that tonight, why they don't think they have to worry about it, but they definitely should. And we, the people, ought to demand that they do take it very seriously. One of the things, if you read on in Article 6, Section 3, if they fail to take the oath of office, they forfeit their office. So that must be pretty important, right? And also in Article 2, Section 15, it says that legislators in the General Assembly are free from arrest unless they commit treason, felonies, violate their oath of office, or breach the peace. So again, the Constitution has a penalty for violating their oath of office. And I would suggest to you that your representative and everybody else violates the oath of office. Probably pretty much every day. Particularly if your representative and senator takes a pension, as an example. In Article 2, Section 8, it says that the legislatures, that is the House of Representatives and the Senate, are entitled to their salary and mileage and no other compensation. Now, I don't know about you, but when I went to work, my salary, and if you look in the dictionary, it says what you get on a regular basis, every week, every 2 weeks, every month, right? It's a definition of your salary. And of course, mileage is pretty self-explanatory. So, I read it, you can read it, and that's exactly what it means. They were never intended to be full-time legislators, and they certainly weren't there for profit. But that has changed so drastically. We really do need to have representatives who do their job according to the law. So if somebody graciously says, a representative says, well, I'm going to give up my pension or some other compensation other than salary and mileage, you just say, thank you for doing your job, according to the law. So since they don't do that generally, they're breaking their oath every time they take a penny. There's other cases. So we want the people in Pennsylvania to network together at the county level. That's where the county is the building block for government, isn't it? All right, we got townships here in Pennsylvania, and they're part of it. But the county is really the building block. There were the first 4 counties, an example, in Pennsylvania, and then they spread out from that point initially. And the Sheriff Brigade is intended to be a vehicle by which you can do that. in consort with your Tea Party group or any other group. I'm not sure why Mark Hessler started his group. It seems sort of redundant, but then I'm prejudiced. Since I've been doing the Brigade since 2009. But hey, if we can get people networked together, it doesn't really matter what you call yourself. Because frankly, if we don't do it, we lose. We may have already lost. The other side is so well organized and so well funded. And I tell you, the attorneys and judges are behind it all. And if you think about it, it could never happen without their involvement. Because if the courts were operating according to the Constitution, which is their job, isn't it? Just like everybody else, but they're sort of the final place you go. But if they were doing their job according to the law, you or I or anybody could go file a suit against somebody who's violating the law. The sheriff, by the way, would arrest them. And then they'd be prosecuted. The jury would judge both the law and the facts. And I think that, again, if we could educate the people as to what their duties are as a juror and as a grand jury, we would get a lot of indictments of those who are violating our rights in the law. And they'd be in government. And those people would either pay a fine or go to jail or both. Now, I don't think it would take too many prosecutions of those in government before the rest of them would get the idea. The game's up. And that doesn't exclude the district attorney or the judge or judges. And who is in a position to make those charges and indictment? First of all, the arrest by the sheriff. The sheriff is the chief executive officer, in today's terms, the chief law enforcement officer in the county. Now, lest you doubt that, let me hand out something. Can I get some help here? Just start down each side. If you feel so inclined, want to make a contribution to the copy cost, I don't want to object. It's been rather expensive these days. Now, the first one there is the sheriff is chief law enforcement officer in the county. Have that one? Now, I start out by talking about the fact that the district attorney is not the chief law enforcement officer in the county, even though he thinks he is. How could that be? First of all, the district attorney is an attorney. And he holds the office of attorney at law, which is Title 42, Section 25 and 21. He takes a special oath of office to the court. He actually works for and is controlled by the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania. Article 5, Section 10C defines that in the Constitution. So, by all logic, he is the chief prosecutor, and only the chief prosecutor. But that's not what he thinks, because they want to eliminate the sheriff. The sheriff originally, the sheriff and the coroner were in a separate section in the Constitution up until 1874. At which point, without any authority I can find, they put them at the beginning of the county offices. The sheriff, coroner, and then all the rest. And after the 1968 convention, again without any notice to the people, they eliminated the coroner in that list and put the sheriff down in the middle, beyond the DA. Now, attorneys and judges have been driving changes to our Constitution from the very beginning. And there was no exception in 1968. That's another discussion for another day. But I can tell you that we have a serious serious problem with the control by attorneys and judges in our society. And they have been stealing our rights, and the courts have been ruling against us for a long, long time. Now, until we can get those in government to follow the oath of office and take it very seriously, we're going to continue to have these problems. So we can do all sorts of things, but until you get your government back in the box where it belongs, following the law, the rest of it's busy work. Because they can pass more bills and do more evil to us in a day than we could possibly fight in a year. Particularly when we're so disorganized. Now, it's great that you're out tonight. The question is, what do you do with the information that you learn in these meetings? What action you're taking? It's great that there's a bill now in the House Bill 357, that Darrell Metcalf has put forward. I want to talk about that a little later, but that is a pure nullification bill. You know what nullification is? I have a whole week here. You need to learn about that. And you can learn about it in a couple of ways. We have a website, fortunately, and that is the County Sheriff Brigades of Pennsylvania. And the address is on the back of the sheriff document. And it's also on Guns Are Not the Cause, down at the bottom. So you don't have to write it down or remember it. But I would encourage you to go to that website and start reading the documents. I've written most of them, but there are other authors as well on various subjects. And the whole idea is to educate people as to what the truth and the law is. In January 31st, 2011, I said to my cohort from Cumberland County, his name is Jim Compton, he and I do most of this. And he had been fighting Reil ID. How many of you know about Reil ID? Very few people here are informed. 2005, the federal government passed a bill that was going to create a national ID through the driver's license. And in fact, there were a whole lot of requirements that would be implemented. One of them was a high-resolution digital image, which, by the way, started being done here in Pennsylvania at the DMV in 2006. So if you had a driver's license renewed since 2006, you have a high-resolution video taken of you. It's in a database, which, by the way, is accessible anywhere in the world. So they can have a camera somewhere, scan you walking down the street, or when you pull up to the Easy Pass or whatever, they take your picture through the windshield. They can, in fact, run that and see if you look like somebody they're looking for. Now, there is currently another bill that Jim and I are working on to eliminate the high-resolution image. I rather doubt it's going to happen. But nevertheless, Jim and I worked on that for 5.5 years until finally this last session, a bill was passed to say that Pennsylvania would not participate in the Reil ID Act. So if anybody says you can't nullify something, just use that as an example. The Reil ID Act was nullified. Now it's pretty much gutted, and the Department of Transportation got most everything we wanted, like the high-resolution imaging. But at least we got a bill nullified. So this House Bill 357 is a pure nullification bill. It says that Pennsylvania will not participate in any new federal gun control or magazines or accessories. And it has some teeth, because it says that if the federal or state or local officer tries to enforce it, he's subject to a felony in third degree. That's the key. It also has in it that the Attorney General, if you are prosecuted for not turning in your guns, it's his job to defend you. Now, it's going to be a tough bill to get passed in that form. They've been done in other states. I encourage everybody to talk to your representative and encourage him to keep doing it. And if he's changed his position, then I would encourage you to call up and thank him for it. Stay with him, because just signing on as a co-sponsor doesn't mean he's going to vote for it. More importantly, it may not get out of committee, because the Judiciary Committee Chair doesn't like Darrell Metcalf, I understand, and nor does he believe that the bill is constitutional. It's wrong, but nevertheless, that's what he believes. But he's an attorney, so you know, sort of take it from where the source is. Judiciary Committee right now, and we'll be doing that. If you know some people that are on the Judiciary Committee, by all means, please call them and tell them they need to get 357 out of the committee. But it's not going to move without a whole lot of pressure. Shouldn't be, shouldn't have to do this. But there lies the problem. We have a bunch of legislators who don't know the law. They think they run the world, and they listen to attorneys. Boy, that's a devastating combination. Right? So we have some serious problems that we have to overcome. But if you look at this document about the sheriff being the chief law enforcement officer, I made my positions known. First is, he is the chief executive officer. He is the top cop in the county. And there is no one, but no one in law enforcement with more authority than the sheriff. Now, the municipal police came into existence toward the late 1800s, started in New York. The state police in Pennsylvania were initiated in 1905. They were the Pinkertons, and they guarded the coal mines. And now they're the sheriff, they are the police for the government. All right? So the state police, of course, they have the governor's ear. They get the best funding. They got the best labs. They got the best training. On and on and on. They think they're the top dogs, but they're not. In the county, the sheriff is. They don't recognize it. And of course, they think the DA is the chief law enforcement officer. The sheriff is, courthouse lacking, right? He guards the courtrooms, and he transports prisoners, and he does foreclosure, doing sales of houses under foreclosure, those kind of things. Nothing of significance. In fact, the sheriff no longer even controls the prisons. Now, that is absurd. The sheriff was always responsible for the prison. You remember the Old West? How many of you watch Old Westerns? Right? What happened when the mob showed up at the jail and he wanted to haul somebody out who was in jail? The sheriff stood on the porch or stood in the front of the crowd and said, "Through me." Even though he may be guilty, he's entitled to due process and have a jury. Or when the bank was robbed, what did he do? He said, "Okay, guys, go get your guns and your horses. We're going after the crook." Right? He deputized the people in the community to join him and his deputies to go get the bad guy. That power exists today in Pennsylvania. In fact, every sheriff has that power. And it's called the posse comitatus of the entire community. Now, only the sheriff can create a posse. Only the sheriff. Militias, on the other hand, we can form those, and if you want to read a good book on militias, Dr. Ed Vieira, North Carolina, excellent lawyer, has written a book called Sword and Sovereignty. It's a long book. I haven't read all of it yet. But it is an intense study on what militias are, what their purposes are, their authority, and the fact that we have the authority of militias and they've been stolen from us. In Pennsylvania, the militias were changed to the Pennsylvania National Guard in 1870. Now, I don't know how we can have a Pennsylvania National anything if Pennsylvania still exists as a state. Can you? How can you have a Pennsylvania National something? Well, truth be known, after the so-called 14th Amendment, the states were irrelevant, and the things that followed, again, discussion for another day. But the sheriffs have the power, and we need to help them understand it, and be there to support them when they act like constitutional sheriffs. Now, Sheriff Mack started having conferences. I've had 2 of them so far. Now he has a list to have sheriffs, and I think Mark Kessler was signed up for that as well. For sheriffs and peace officers who would say, we will support our constituents' right to bear arms, don't want to bear arms, and no matter if the feds come into our county, we will not allow them to violate people's rights. And that's their job. All right? But guess what? They're human. And they are afraid because the district attorney is going to probably try to arrest them because he's now got investigative powers. How in the world they got that through, I don't know, but I'll find out. And so they're concerned that they'll be arrested and put in jail. My answer to the sheriff is, well, guess what? So, step up. This is what you get paid for. I generally ask people, did you get elected? And they say yes. I said, did you take an oath of office? Yeah. You get paid? Yeah. Why aren't you doing your job? According to the Constitution. According to that oath. Why do we let them get away with it? Probably the only job in the world where they don't know have to know what their job description is, don't have to do it, and yet they say, well, maybe that's not true. But the government jobs are probably the only ones that allow them to get away with that. I know that if you work in private enterprise, if you don't do your job, what happens? You get fired. You get disciplined. You do all sorts of things. It doesn't seem to work in government. They get a raise. I don't know. Anyway,
And promoted.
so...
And promoted.
Yeah, right. Well, what's that? That's a principle, right? The position of economy. Anyway, the first paragraph, a couple paragraphs in this page on the sheriff, is my summary. The rest of it is out of a couple of books. Two-volume set, Anderson on Sheriff, written in 1941 by an attorney. Everything you want to know and more about sheriffs, constables, and coroners. And as I said to our sheriff in Chester County, there's a lot of little, I said, I would like for you to read this because it has all the information you need. Well, there's a lot of little print in that book. And there is. It's 8.5 by 14, and it's a lot of little print. Well, I read it. And I said, well, I'm going to teach you and your deputies the information's in here. You guys have to take the M1. But the bottom line is, if you don't know what you're supposed to do, again, how can you do your job? So this information, unfortunately, is not in print anymore, but some friends of mine did put it on a DVD, so if your sheriff really wants to know, they're available at $20 a piece. And the last of this document is excerpts from Anderson Sheriff. You can see it starts with section 42, goes over through 50. And then I have a summary. So, I don't make any of this up. Don't need to. The sheriff his duties or her duties cannot be diminished unless there's a constitutional amendment. As far as I know, there has never been a constitutional amendment to diminish any of the authority that the sheriff had in 1776. So, there were no municipal police, there were no state police, there were sheriffs. Did we not have law and order in this state before the late 1800s? Sure we did. Did the sheriff not arrest and investigate and do all that kind of work? Sure they did. And unfortunately, the problem is, government wants to be able to control people, and one way you can control people is, if you don't do what we tell you to do, we're going to fire you. Right? We're going to take your pay away. Well, you can't do that to a sheriff. You might try to diminish their pay, but that would be unconstitutional as well. But they cannot diminish the authority or powers of the sheriff without a constitutional amendment. And they're trying to do it in Delaware. We'll see how that case turns out. I hope that the Supreme Court eventually rules correctly. We'll see. But there's the evidence. And what that means, you can go to your sheriff and say, hey, sheriff, did you know? Give him a copy of this. Talk to him about it. And try to help him understand that without him performing his duty, he's the last line of defense. And Sheriff Mack's written this book, The County Sheriff, America's Last Hope. I don't necessarily agree with the title, but it's his title. I think that God is our last hope. And we must, in fact, do what God tells us to do. And one of the things he tells us is we have to defend our rights, don't we? There's no one who's more interested in you having your rights than you are. So we got to do it. Now, in order to do it, you need to understand the law. The way you do that is look in the Constitution. The Pennsylvania Constitution is really clearer than the Second Amendment. I want to talk about the Second Amendment in a minute. Article 1, Section 21 of the Pennsylvania Constitution says what? The right of the citizens to bear arms in defense of themselves and the state shall not be questioned. There's nothing unclear about that. Article 1, Section 25 says, power to preserve the people. court case that confirms that without a constitutional amendment, those things in Article 1 cannot be changed. They can't legislate on things in Article 1. It's Erdman versus Mitchell. For those of you who like to go to law and grades, 207, Pennsylvania, 79. It's a 1903 state Supreme Court decision. That also applies, by the way, to the right to work. Because it deals with Article 1, Section 1, and Article 1, Section 25, but in essence, everything in Article 1. It says that without a constitutional amendment, the legislature cannot legislate on those issues. They do it all the time in direct conflict with the Constitution. And therein lies the problem. These folks go to Harrisburg, and they got to justify their existence, and someone says, oh, there ought to be a law, and so they need to write up something. And it may already be in the Constitution. There's a lot of things that are covered in the Constitution that don't need to have statutes. If people would really understand how powerful the Constitution is, for instance, understanding the definition of words. Everybody says, well, liberty is just being able to go where you want to, right? But no, it's much more than that. Here's Black's Law Dictionary on the word liberty. Freedom from all restraint except such as are justly imposed by law. The question has to be answered, what is the law, and to whom does it apply? And those are very important questions. But liberty, liberty, guaranteed and protected by constitutional provisions, denotes not only freedom from unauthorized physical restraint, but embraces also the freedom of an individual to use and enjoy his faculties in all lawful ways, acquire lawful knowledge, marry, establish a home, and bring up their children, worship God according to the dictates of their own conscience, live and work where they choose, engage in any of the common and lawful occupations of life, enter into all contracts which may be proper and necessary, essential to carrying out successfully the foregoing purposes, and generally to enjoy these privileges long recognized by common law as essential to the orderly pursuit of happiness by free people. Wow, that's really broad, isn't it? Now, let me ask you a question. Do you have to have government permission to exercise a God-given right? No. So, think about how much you have to ask government in order to do something today. It's amazing, isn't it? Now, it says that you have a God-given right to marry. You've got to get a marriage license, right? Do you know what a license is? According to, pardon me? According to Black's Law Dictionary, 6th edition, permission from a competent authority to do something without such permission would be illegal or trespass a tort or not otherwise allowable. In other words, it's unlawful. Now, a permit is very similar. It's just not unlawful. You just can't do it without their permission. So in essence, it's the same thing, isn't it? And it's often interchanged. Now let's go to the gun issue. They want you to get a permit to carry concealed, right? You can carry exposed or open, right? You don't have to have that in the state. It's not the way it is in all states. It should be. But let me ask you this question. Do you think that when the framers wrote the Constitution in 1776, they cared whether their musket was under their jacket or outside their jacket?
Nope.
So what does the Constitution mean? It means what it meant when it was written until it's changed according to the procedure specifically spelled out in the Constitution. That's state and federal. And they are not giving you a right. These are God-given rights to protect yourself. Government does not give you these rights. You do not have a Second Amendment right. That's a clever little thing that people like to tell you so it sounds real easy. You have a right protected by the Second Amendment in the federal jurisdiction, not inside the state. There is absolutely no authority for the state to come, the federal government to come into the state, except for what they've done unconstitutionally. And the courts and their decisions, which are all wrong. And you can read about that on the website. I've written on these subjects. Your right to bear arms is a God-given right. I took Justice Scalia on when he did an interview and he said that, well, you can have anything you can carry. You can't have a cannon. And we'll have to deal with these shoulder-mounted rockets when they come before us, whether that's a right that you can have. Why do you think the framers put that right, that provision, in the Constitution, in the state Constitution in 1776, and in the federal Constitution in the Bill of Rights, which was ratified in December 15, 1791? Why do you think the right to bear arms is in there? So you can go hunting, target shooting. You listen to these people and they just are full of it. And this idea that this semi-automatic weapon is a assault rifle or assault weapon, how ridiculous is that? If you take a rock and you hit somebody over the head, isn't the rock an assault weapon? Bat, your hand, stick, whatever. This is just attorney speak to get you to think that, oh, that's a terrible looking thing. It's black and it's got these really, really strange things on it to make it so you can hold it when it gets hot, that kind of thing. But that's not an assault weapon. Even a fully automatic weapon wouldn't necessarily be an assault weapon. Unless you use it to assault somebody. In which case, what is the crime? Not the gun, but the fact that you assaulted someone.